Gurukul CEC online lectures. I shall be continuing with the series on recombinant DNA technology, and today we will be discussing about transformation. The specific learning objectives for today's lecture would be to understand the basic principle of transformation, to understand the heat shock transformation method, and to understand about the electroporation transformation method. The reference used for this particular lecture is Gene Cloning in DNA Analysis, an introduction by T.A. Brown. It has been used primarily for educational purposes. Other references are mentioned as we go into the lecture. So just to review about the basic steps in gene cloning. We talked about the construction of recombinant DNA. The recombinant DNA is a molecule in which a fragment of DNA containing the gene to be cloned is inserted into a circular DNA molecule, which is called as a vector. So that produces a recombinant DNA molecule. As you can see, we have a vector and then we have a fragment of DNA which contains a gene of interest, and when they are combined together, then they form a recombinant DNA molecule. Now for the construction of recombinant DNA molecule, we had already discussed about the different types of cloning vectors which are used, different ways in which both the DNAs can be purified, different enzymes which are used to modify these fragments by using restriction enzymes or by using various other modifying enzymes, and then how these two fragments are ligated to become a recombinant DNA molecules. The next step in the gene cloning is the transportation into a host cell. Now the mechanism of introduction of recombinant DNA into a host cell is called as transformation, and this is usually done in the bacteria. Now most species of bacteria can take up DNA molecules from the medium. In environment also, where the bacteria is sustaining, then if there are certain molecules or DNA molecules which are lying around it, surrounding it, it can just take up those DNA molecules. This is the basis of what we call it as horizontal gene transfer. So this one of the mechanisms of horizontal gene transfer. But it is very important to note that not all species of bacteria can take up the exogenous DNA molecules efficiently. Even the natural transformation ability in the bacteria is quite low, and only some of the bacterial species are able to take up DNA efficiently from the surroundings. Now, if we want to use this technique for laboratory purposes, or we want to manipulate it for our own benefit, for making the recombinant DNA molecule or for making the molecular clones of the DNA molecule, then how to make the bacteria efficient? That is the first thing that comes up. So the natural ability of bacteria to take up the DNA molecule from its surroundings is termed as competence. So as I already mentioned, different bacterial species have different competence. That is, different ability to take up the exogenous DNA from its surroundings. Natural competence is low, and transformation is probably not a major process by which the bacteria obtain the genetic information. But again, it is very important to understand that by physical and or chemical treatments, the bacterial species can be made competent and to transform the DNA efficiently. Now, because we want to use this for in vitro genetic manipulations, then we can use different physical and chemical methods to make the bacterial species competent. So let's look at these different mechanisms of competence. So the first thing is, we'll talk about Escherichia coli, which is a E. coli, which is a normal model organism we have been dealing with molecular gene cloning and recombinant DNA technology. So the first step in transformation will be to prepare the E. coli cells for competence, or to prepare competent E. coli cells. One of the chemical method uses calcium chloride, and it is termed as the calcium chloride method. Ice cold calcium chloride solution facilitates the binding of DNA to the surface of the cell. Now the role of the calcium ions in the cell suspension is hypothesized to be acting as a cation bridge between the negative charges on the phosphorylated lipid A and lipopolysaccharides and the phosphate backbone of DNA. So as shown in the picture, this is the bacterial cell wall. So as you can see that it has a plasma membrane, it has a peptidoglycan layer, and it also has a lipopolysaccharide layer, the E. coli bacterial membrane. So this is a gram-negative bacterial membrane. E. coli is a gram-negative organism. Then when you add the plasmid to it, then when the plasmid is added, then these plasmids are repulsed by this negatively charged lipopolysaccharide layer. Because we know that DNA is also negatively charged. So they will be repelled. So the first thing is to make the DNA come into the proximity of the cell membrane. Then only, the bacteria can take up the DNA. So to do this, if you give a calcium chloride treatment, then the calcium chloride or the calcium ions are going to make a layer around this lipopolysaccharide layer. And as you can see, they will attract the DNA molecules. So they will help the DNA molecules and the lipopolysaccharide membrane of the bacteria to come and lie in the proximity. So when it facilitates the DNA to stay near to the bacteria, then only we can make the bacteria enter into the cell. So this is the calcium chloride method, that when we give washes of ice cold calcium chloride solutions, then the competence of the bacteria increases because of the layering of the calcium ions in association with the lipopolysaccharide layer of the membrane, so that the DNA can be brought into the proximity. The next step is to introduce this DNA into the cell. So for that, we have to give certain kind of treatments, and one treatment is a heat shock treatment method. So as the name suggests, heat shock basically means that you increase the temperature up to a degree Celsius and then you suddenly or abruptly cool it down. So the bacteria, there's a kind of a shock to the bacteria, and under this change in the temperature shock, transient pores open into the plasma membrane. Now DNA is lying near to the plasma membrane. Because of the opening of these transient pores, the DNA will be taken up by the bacteria. So as shown in the figure, you can see now this calcium layer has facilitated the DNA molecules, the recombinant DNA mentioned here as a plasmid. So the recombinant DNA molecule or plasmid molecules nearer to the surface of the membrane. And then when you give a heat shock, which is basically increasing the temperature up to 42 degrees Celsius, and after that for certain seconds, and then immediately putting it in 4 degrees Celsius or in ice cold condition. So this heat shock facilitates the opening of the transient pores, and the DNA which is lying near to the membrane will be taken up by the bacteria. So this is a good method, a heat shock method, very cheap method. It can be done in the laboratories, a very simple method in which all we have to do is we have to make the E. coli bacterial cells competent. We have to incubate it with the plasmid DNA, give it the variation of temperatures, which is the heat shock, and the bacteria will be able to take up the DNA from the medium. So this is how a molecule or a recombinant DNA molecule or a plasmid DNA molecule is introduced into the bacterial cell by using this heat shock treatment method. So this is the protocol which is given here, and it is approximately a 4-day protocol. So on day 1, the buffers can be made, and the E. coli culture can be overnight incubated for good growth conditions so as to have a good number of cells. Then on day 2, again now this is very important step, that when we want to increase when we want to induce the competence in E. coli cells, then it is better to have the E. coli in the early exponential phase. So we again re-inoculate the overnight grown bacterial culture into the LB medium and make it grow for another 3 to 4 hours when the OD or the optical density of the medium increases to approximately 0.4 to 0.5. So that is the most efficient process or efficient stage at which the competence can be introduced. So this is how the competent cells are made. The competent cells, the aliquots of the competent cells can be made and stored at -80 degrees Celsius for recurrent use after some time, and then it is incubated with the plasmid and a heat shock is given where the temperature is raised and the temperature is lowered, and then after the heat shock the cells are again revived by putting in the more medium, and it is kept on the shaker for some time so that the cells which are under a shock now revives back, and then finally they are plated onto a LB plate so as to select the cells which contain the plasmid or select the cells which contain the recombinant DNA. So go in for the selection procedure to take. So we are talking right now about the transformation procedure. So transformation is up to entering the bacteria, entering the plasmid into the bacterial cell. The second method, which is very important again, is termed as the electrotransformation method. There are numerous transformation methods which exist, but we are talking about the simplest two methods that can be occur. Calcium fluoride method is the simplest form of transformation in which a plasmid can be introduced into a bacteria with really cheap source and very efficiently. Electroporation is another variation of this method in which we apply an electric field that creates pores in the cell wall through which DNA can pass. So competent cells are made in the same way as the calcium chloride competent E. coli, the way it was made for the heat shock method. But the transformation procedure, when the DNA enters into the cell, requires the electric charge to be given. The electroporation now makes use of a specialized device which is called as an electroporator. Typically, the cells are placed into an electroporation cuvette which has electrodes on each side that make electrical contact with the machine once inserted. So I show you a couple of pictures which have been taken from the Jove Science Education Database, Basic Methods in Cellular and Molecular Biology Bacterial Transformation Electroporation Method. So these are the stills from that video. So this is how an electroporator looks like. So you have got this machine where you can have two buttons where you can give the pulse from, and then there is a window which will record the time or the volt which has been given. And then this is a stand which contains, which has the has a slot to introduce the electroporation cuvette. This is an electroporation cuvette, and this cuvette has electrodes on both the sides. So you just slid it into this thing so that the connection is made between the electroporator and the cuvette, and when you give the pulse, when you press these two buttons, when you give the pulse, then the electricity is passed through the cuvette and the electroporation and the electrotransformation of the plasmid DNA occurs. So we incubate the plasmid with the E. coli cells, introduce it into the electroporation cuvette, and then give the pulse so that a transient electric field so that the DNA can transform. So this is how basically the mechanism looks like. So this is an electroporator. These are the two electrodes, and in this we add the material which contains the plasmid DNA along with the bacterial cells, and we pass this transient electric shock. So we for the bacteria E. coli, we give a 0.5 to 1 volt of shock, which is translated into that much. So we translate this shock, and due to this shock, as you can see in the plasma membrane, the transient hole appears because there is a rearrangement of the bilipid layer. So because of this electric shock, there is a rearrangement on the bilipid layer and a transient pore opens. So in this state, the plasmid DNA, which is lying surrounding the bacterial cell, will be introduced inside the bacteria. So this is how the electric shock of approximately 0.5 to 1 volt will help the plasmid DNA to get introduced inside the bacteria. Now, sometimes what happens is that if there are salts in the plasmid DNA, so when we talked about plasmid DNA, or when we talked about the vector DNA, or when we talked about the gene of interest, we talked about the purification of DNA, because we have isolated the vector from somewhere. We have isolated the gene of interest from somewhere. And then both these fragments we have also modified. We have cut them with different restriction enzymes. We have processed them. So under these genetic manipulations, we have used different enzymes, different buffers, different salt conditions. Now under these salt conditions, we also do at the end of the purification procedure, the washing steps, in which we try to remove all the salts which are present. Because if the salts are still present, it is not a very clean and purified DNA. Then what happens? There occurs a spark. And this spark, called as the arcing, is basically leaving too much of your cells or DNA, and it will just kill the cells, because this is basically not giving an appropriate type of an electric discharge. Now what happens when we give this electric discharge is that when we give the pulse, so in this graph, this is the pulse when we are giving. The volts just increases and then transiently it comes down. So it has to come down in this manner, and this is called as the time constant. So an ideal time constant will be somewhere between 5 to 10 milliseconds. But this, the second graph is telling us that when there is an arcing. So when there is an arcing, it suddenly drops down. The time constant is really, really low, and because of this spark, the bacterial cells die. So we have to be very careful that when we have to proceed for the electrotransformation method, then the DNA, the vector DNA, as well as the fragment of DNA has to be really clean. It has to be devoid of all the salts, otherwise the arcing can happen and there will be no transformation that will be done. So time constant is an important thing to note. So the ideal time constant will be around 5 to 10 milliseconds. After the electrotransformation or after even the calcium heat shock treatment method, the cells are revived by the addition of LB media. Because they have undergone a shock, we need to give them certain medium to come back to their normal growth conditions. So we add certain amount of LB media to it and put it on the shaker for some time. So we put it on the shaking condition at optimum temperature so that, it just revives back and comes back to its normal growth level. And after that, we plate it on the LB agar plates. Now we had earlier talked about the selection pattern. If we are introducing the plasmid into a bacteria, then plasmids, either it is just a vector or containing a fragment which is a recombinant vector, then they contain antibiotic resistance markers. So if a bacteria takes up the exogenous vector DNA, then if it is originally antibiotic sensitive, then it will become antibiotic resistance. So when we revive the cells and when we plate it onto the LB medium plates, then we introduce antibiotics into the medium. This is called as the selection for the transformants, because whatever cells have taken up the DNA, which are termed as the transformants, will be only able to grow, because the bacteria that has not taken up the vector DNA will be antibiotic sensitive. And because we have antibiotic in the plate, those cells will die. So when we plate it on antibiotic containing LB plates, then only the transformants will appear. Now there is another selection method for choosing between whether it is just the vector DNA or it is a recombinant vector DNA. We had already discussed one of these methods, which is called as the blue-white screening method, also termed as the alpha complementation assay, in other lecture, where the gene of interest is introduced into a LAC-Z gene contained in the plasmid. So this LAC-Z gene encodes for beta-galactosidase. Now beta-galactosidase enzyme, when reacts with a substrate, that substrate again we provide it in the plate and induce the promoter of the LAC-Z gene by an inducer such as an IPTG, then it gives blue color. But when the LAC-Z gene is disrupted by the insertion of the gene of interest, so in the vector, the LAC-Z gene will be complete, but in the recombinant vector, the LAC-Z gene will be disrupted. So in the recombinant vector, when the LAC-Z gene will be disrupted, they will not be able to interact or react with the substrate and produce a blue color. So the colonies, the recombinant vector containing colonies will appear white on the plate. So this is termed as the blue-white screening. So after transformation, we do such kinds of screening methods. Now last thing in this, a very important thing is that we have to know the transformation efficiency. Efficiency basically tells us about how efficient the transformation has occurred. We need to know that because when we are introducing the recombinant vector, then the probability of having the gene of interest, it is very important when we do it for the library preparations, as we will see in our subsequent lectures. But we should know that how many transformants appear when a particular amount of DNA is introduced into a host cell. So this tells us about, we can compare the efficiency of the different methods, as well as we can also compare the, we can be certain about that the gene of interest or the recombinant vector has come into the bacteria. So this transformation efficiency is defined by this formula, where the total number of colonies divided by the amount of DNA taken in microgram is multiplied by the volume of transformants and by the volume of culture plated. So we know all these four things, because when we plate it on the LB agar ampicillin plates, the next day we will have the appearance of the E. coli colonies. We can count these number of colonies. If there are too many colonies, then we have to do the serial dilution plating, so that the colonies that appear on a plate are countable. So we have the total number of colonies. We know the amount of DNA that has been inserted, because whenever we put up any reaction in vitro, we need to first check about the amount of DNA. And we have already talked about this, that we can do this by spectrophotometric methods, or we can also do it by gel methods. But usually the UV visible spectrophotometric method is used, ultraviolet spectrophotometric method is used to estimate the concentration of DNA. So we know the amount of DNA, we know the volume of transformants, the initial number of cells, the volume of cells we are taking, and then what is the volume of we are adding to revive the cells, and then the volume of culture plated. So by this formula we can find out the transformation efficiency. So let's look at one question and try to do it. You added 2 microliters of 183 nanogram per microliter PUC18 to 20 microliter of competent cells. Revived the culture by adding 500 microliter LB. Of this, 100 microliter of transformed mix was plated on LB ampicillin plate. The total colonies obtained as given in photo is, so you have to calculate the transformation efficiency. So please note down in your notebooks and note down what is given here. So the 2 microliter, the volume of the added DNA is given. The concentration is given, which is 183 nanogram per microliter. The volume of competent cells is given. The volume of medium used to revive the cells after the transformation is given. How much volume is plated is given. And then total number of colonies we can find out from this picture. So we know all these things and we can calculate the transformation efficiency. So let's see how we do that. So the colonies in the quadrants we calculate. So there are 74 colonies. The volume of PUC18, because we added 2 microliter. So for each microliter, this is the concentration. For 2 microliters, there will be this much concentration. So there will be this much amount of DNA which we have added, 0.366 micrograms. Then volume of transformed mix is 20 microliters plus 500 microliters plus 2 microliters, which is 522 microliters. And the volume of transformed mix plated is 100 microliters. So by looking at the formula and putting all the values in the formula, we get the transformation efficiency to be 1.145 into 10 raised to the power of 3 colony forming units per microgram of DNA. So this is how the transformation efficiency is calculated and given, so that we understand that how efficient our procedure has been. We can modulate and change the concentration of the DNA that has been added. We can modulate and change the volume of competent cells that have been taken, and we can modulate the various conditions so as to increase or decrease the transformation efficiency. Ideally, for an electrotransformation method, the 10 raised to the power of 7 to 10 raised to the power of 9 or even 10 raised to the power of 12 CFU per microgram of DNA can be obtained. For calcium chloride method, the transformation efficiency is a little lower. Ideally and optimally, it would be like 10 raised to the power of 6 to 10 raised to the power of 7 CFU per microgram of DNA. But the advantages of heat shock method is that it is a little gentle method. It is a direct transformation of the reactions occur, and it is a cheaper method. You do not require a specified instrument. It can be done routinely in a lab. Electroporation although give higher efficiencies, and it is quite a faster method, and the transformation even of mammalian cells can be occurred. So these are the advantages of the two methods, and we can choose between the two methods to carry out the transformation of vector DNA or recombinant DNA into the bacteria. The last aspect would be to talk about the troubleshooting methods. So you can look at this table and you can always troubleshoot like why, if for example you transform but there are no colonies that appeared, or there is a lawn of bacterial colonies that is appearing. So for example, if there are no transformations, so there is no transformation that is there. So there is an incorrect antibiotic or antibiotic, and if you give too much of an antibiotic concentration, then even the transformants would die. So if there is actually no transformation, that can be one of the method. Cells have not become properly competent. One very important thing while making competent cells is that everything has to be done in cold condition. Everything has to be done under cold conditions. If there is a higher temperature, then the competent cells would not be perfect and there will be again very low or no transformation occurring. Or if using chemically competent cells, then the incorrect heat shock. So sometimes we raise up the temperature too high, or we do not give immediately the heat shock method. So there will be no transformants that will occur. The colonies do not contain a plasmid. The colonies appear, but the plasmid is not there. So they will talk about the satellite colonies were selected. So sometimes what happens is, if you incubate the plates for too long, then apart from the transformants, the satellite colonies also appear. Because with time and with incubation at an optimum temperature, the antibiotic activity will reduce. And therefore the cells which do not die, but it just stunted the growth of the cells, after the declining of the activity of antibiotics, they will also start appearing. So those are not the true transformants. So if you select them, they will not contain any plasmid. Or the antibiotic concentration used were too low. So if you use too low concentration, then the non-transformants will also appear. The last point is if there are too many colonies. So if there are too many colonies, then you have to serially dilute. I have also already told you that the concentration of transformant cells were too high, or adding the antibiotic to hot agar down the antibiotic cause antibiotic plates to be ineffective. So these are the certain points which need to be kept in mind before the transformation and during the transformation for the efficient transformation to occur. So this is one of the method, and we have talked about the transformation in E. coli. In our subsequent lecture, we will talk about the transformation in other bacteriophages and in mammalian cells also. Thank you.